Hello, silly. Yep. Yep. Black Wolf Transport LLC on Twitch. And it is a rainy day. Yes, it is a very rainy day, and it's just been like this since I drove in and halfway across last night, and just waiting a couple hours before I have to go deliver a load here in Portland, Oregon. Now, here's a sad fact. Yesterday, I filled up my my fuel tank on the truck, and I was only at about half a tank. Put a half a tank in, and it cost me $1,003.84 for half a tank of fuel. Yes, a thousand. It's it's $1,000 for a half a tank of fuel on a load that only paid $1,200. Yes, yes, and that was the best pay. That was the best paying load I could find. Yep, the freight rates are so low right now with the fuel rates going so high. I haven't seen freight rates this low in over 15 years. And these fuel prices are higher than they have ever been in history. And literally, we're coming out of pocket to deliver these loads instead of being paid. We're literally a few cents away before all the trucks end up just turning them off and going home. Trucker G's still at home. Sorry, I'm reading some comments on my live stream here, Tommy. My live stream doesn't realize that I'm talking to you directly on your live stream while I'm on mine. It was nice catching up, so go ahead and yeah, go ahead and skip around and you know, do what you do. Have a good day. Hello, everybody. Oh. Well, no, I'm sorry. I'm streaming here in YouTube and on Twitch at the same time. Plus, right now I'm also on Tommy Temper, and Tommy Temper just had me on there live talking with him while they were seeing my live stream and everything. So, you guys should not be buffering at all because of the fact that I'm sitting in the middle of a full signal, and you can see I'm not moving. It's a rainy day. I got a couple hours before I have to deliver. So if it starts buffering and you're on YouTube, that's because you're on YouTube. You should go over to my Twitch. Jen has my link to my Twitch, or not a link, but my screen name. She can throw you my screen name for Twitch. All right, well, good job, Jen. Yeah, I got a load to deliver here in about 3 hours. if you don't have Twitch, you probably should. The video is usually clearer, the sound is better, and it doesn't do this buffering thing all the time. It doesn't, and unlike YouTube, it doesn't just drop you at the drop of a dime for no reason. And it also does not have anybody sitting there waiting to push a button because they don't like what you hear to kill your stream. Not to mention on Twitch, I can have music without being censored. Well, I'm in Portland, Lacey. Lacey Ocean there. I'm actually sitting in Portland right now. I don't know where you are in Oregon, but I'm here in Portland. Kathy, I do have a Rumble, but it is too complicated to constantly go in and change the links every time I want to go live. Not to mention it's expensive, because you have to pay in order to be able to live stream on Rumble. Right, the Ultimate Mod is the guy that owns the channel. I'm sorry, I'm listening to Tommy Temper at the same time, so I'm gonna kill his stream so I quit getting distracted by him. Alright, so now that it's quiet in my head, because I don't have Tommy Temper in my ears. Oh, you're over in Newport. I like fishing off of Newport. Now, if I go out crabbing, I prefer to go out crabbing off out by Netarts Bay. Yeah, if you click on the link that Jen provided, it'll take you right to the Twitch live stream. And you can click on the little speaker, the little tiny speaker, to make sure you've got sound or not. That's one way of doing it. Another way is, you download the Twitch app onto whatever device you're using, create yourself an account, and then you can actually use that link to go straight to my account, and it'll ask you if you want to use it in the app, and you say yes, and then you can just subscribe that way, and then you'll get notifications and everything when I go live, and you can just go straight into the Twitch on it instead of into the YouTube if you choose to. The other thing is that link will always be the same link no matter what every time I go live, instead of having to type in a different name or a different link to go to each different little stream on YouTube. It's a permanent link for the live on Twitch. That lady just dropped some garbage and decided to step right on over the top of it and keep going. That is what's wrong with this world today. She knows she dropped it too, because she stopped and stared at it for a second. So window open, so I'm going to be a little quiet for a second. She done glared at me like she wanted to stab me to death as she walked by. Oh man, some people. Give me a second, I'll be right back. She dropped her liberal muzzle. She dropped her liberal muzzle out there and just walked right over it and left it. Put that in my garbage bag. There you go. Yeah, I'm sorry, but she is, we're in Portland, and I am not the right color to say anything to somebody like that in this town. Trust me. I would have loved to, but I got a little more common sense. I know when to bite my damn tongue. Sometimes. Sometimes I've got no filter and it just flies out. Silly, you missed it. You missed it. You're going to have to rewind a little bit, silly. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, thank you. It's always good to get my info out there. So, let me pull this up here real quick. I want to check something out. You know, we're up to 776 subscribers right now. And if, that would be awesome if we had like another 1,000 subscribers, because it would be 1776, right? People tell you you need a muzzle. Well, you know, the left tried to make us all keep these muzzles on for so long. You know, that mask, that's your muzzle right there. You can tell the people what you feel about that too. You know what? If you live in America, you should never be worried about whether you have a filter or not, because we have such a thing as freedom of speech. And it should, and because we have freedom of speech, it should not matter what you say or how you say it or how you mean to say it or how it sounds. Freedom of speech is freedom of speech is freedom of speech. Period. Everybody has a right to say anything they want at any time, no matter what the context is. Just like everybody has the right to have their own opinion, everybody has the right to have their own belief structure, everybody has the right to have their own religious views, no matter what. I mean, it's like, you know, Christians do not have the right to you know, attack or defame, or realistically, you don't have the right to exclude any group that does not follow your exact belief in your religion, right? So take, for example, you take a Christian versus a pagan. Neither one of them can go at each other's throats. Neither one of them can exclude the other completely from all of society. We are supposed to be living together peacefully, no matter what our beliefs are and no matter what somebody's spiritual beliefs are. And realistically, your spiritual belief is nobody else's business. Period. You know? And that's one thing that bugs me about some of the stuff in the movement. I have a lot of friends who are pagan, various different spiritual beliefs within that. I mean, there's so many different ways, just like in Christianity, there are so many different ways of believing, because you've got the Catholics and their version of what they believe in for Jesus and God and the Bible and everything. And then you've got the Baptists, and they have a different way of believing it, and so on and so on and so on. Every little different sect of Christianity, every single one believes solely in what they read out of everything in their interpretation, and 9 times out of 10 will not even coherently sit down with a Catholic and have a decent debate on the issue without some kind of hatred sticking out. Put all those differences aside. Okay, you believe this way, I believe this way. So what? And what business is it for anybody to really be poking into that anyway? Right? You know, just like in the pagan world, you've got Wiccans, and you've got Druids, and all kinds. I mean, it just spreads out all over the place. And here's the thing. I studied religions when I was younger, all kinds of religions, because I was curious, you know, to see the histories of them and everything else. The problem is, almost all the pagan religions believe in the exact same things that the Christian religions do. They just attribute those things a little differently. If we wanted to really stand up as a movement together, we would not care if that person was pagan because they're believing in the same politics as we are. We would not care if that person is Christian because they believe in the same politics we are. Just like we should not care what color somebody is, or what race they are, or what part of the world they came from. We should not care if that person was a liberal or was a Democrat. The fact is that they believe in the same politics you do at this moment. So you are both fighting the same fight. So please drop all the pretense, let go of your egos, and come together. Stop letting the media stop letting anybody paint the narrative, because the narrative isn't this religion versus that religion, or this race versus that race. Right now, our narrative, this movement for what is right for humanity, the narrative has nothing to do with races. It has nothing to do with genders. It has nothing to do with religions. It has nothing to do with any of that. It has everything to do with what's right for humanity and for the future, period. And that's not just in this country. It is in every country around the world right now. Why do you think the Chinese, literally over the last several months, locked up every single one of their people in their apartments and houses. They went out with big steel bars and bolted their doors shut from the outside so they could not get out, because this movement was starting in China, and China got scared that because China knows there are way more people there, that even if their people didn't have any arms, if their people massed in the millions and marched against their military, they would eventually overwhelm them. It's the same as taking a rock, right? A big cliffside. You take the front base of a cliff. You can take a needle and you can slowly poke at the same exact spot continuously. And over time, that needle, the needle being the people, and that cliff being the military, over time, that needle digs a hole through the cliff. Yes, it's a very long time, but still, it'd be just like you've got a beautiful brand new windshield, right? Things bounce off of it all the time. But if enough things, or big enough things, bounce off of it at one time, it can destroy your windshield. It's the same aspect. You've got a small amount of people that end up being faced with their government or their military in some way or shape or form, and they are easily put down. But if you have such a massive amount of people, like in the case with China, which is why they locked them all in their houses as the movement started around the world, at that point, those amount of people would turn around and be so massive that no military could stop them, even if they were unarmed, because they could just keep coming. So it's not about whether you have the ability to combat your military. It's about numbers. And that's what scared China. That's what should scare every single one of the people pulling this agenda worldwide right now. And that is what they're scared of. That is why they keep blacking out on the media. That's why we don't get any coverage. That's why they're sending the FBI after the more popular voices, or the ones that are actually being heard or have a message that goes completely contrary to the agenda that they have been told they have to push. That is also why they have been pulling the security clearances of anybody with any kind of conservative view whatsoever out of the FBI. And when they pull an FBI agent's security clearance, that's the same thing as firing him, because at that point he can no longer work with the FBI at all because he has no security clearance. And that is going on right now. So yes, long story short, put all your differences aside. Your religious views, no matter which sides you believe, do not matter. Your religious views don't matter. The only thing that matters, I mean, seriously, the only thing that matters is the movement. The only thing that matters is what's good and right for humanity moving forward. And not just humanity in this country, but worldwide. So, you know, your political views may not fully align with each other, but you're both standing on the same front line of a battle. What gives you the right to poo-poo somebody else because they don't believe exactly like you, even though they're in the same battle side by side with you? I want to go to 10-4 DC also, but I'm not sure how long it's going to take me to dig out of this hole that I'm in with the freight rates as low as they are and the fuel prices as high as they are. I may still be really struggling by then. I would love to go to 10-4 DC, Jen. And if I do get to go, you know darn well I'm gonna swing by your neighborhood and have you convoy right behind me, right? In your little beep beep, I'm a Jeep. know, it's kind of odd. Let's see if I can do this. Hey, that's better. You can now see FedEx. Now, anybody ever take a look at FedEx on the way that's painted on these trucks? You ever notice how between the E and the X there is a white arrow? That is the up arrow. That's pointing the direction that is supposed to be, you know, the box is supposed to stay upright during shipping, right? This side up. Well, you notice the arrow in between the E and the X is pointing to the right instead of up. That's why you see so many FedEx laying on their sides on the side of the road, because they're just trying to put the product back upright. Have Jeep will travel. Yep. I wanted to take a nap and I went and laid down. I got off the phone with somebody and I was really tired, you know, driving at night. Switching from day shift to a night shift and then back to day shift is, you know, when I was younger it was easy, but now it's really hard. I am tired. I am exhausted feeling. I feel like I don't have any energy. In about 2.5 hours I gotta head out of here and go deliver my load and then come right back here because I don't pick up my next one until tomorrow. But I went and laid down and I could not get to sleep. I couldn't even start to relax up there even though I'm exhausted. So here I am on the live. And I hadn't even intended on going live, but I saw Tommy Temper go live and I hopped in there to say hello, and turned out he accidentally went live because he was messing with some stuff on his computer and he accidentally hit a button that turned his live stream on. And you know, so he's got stuff he's going to go do later this afternoon also. But we got into a little bit of a conversation and he says, well, let me see if I can go and find you. So I said, oh, I just ran out real quick and popped my live stream up, and we had a little conversation because through my live stream he can hear me, and through his live stream I can hear him, especially when I'm wearing my earbuds. That way it doesn't feed back, you know, through the system. And anyway, we had a little conversation there, and that's when everybody started popping in, and it was interesting. But Tommy Temper's gonna go fishing today. I wish him lots of luck and lots of fish. I hope he limits out. Hello, CJ. Well, have fun at the graduation. Have fun at the graduation. I hope everybody that's graduating there today has a bright and shiny future ahead of them. Took a nap yesterday and woke up 12 hours later. Oh my. Oh my, silly. How's your husband doing? Is he recovering all right? Oh, yes. All right. The monster truck event. So when I was headed out to Salt Lake the other day, and I passed and then got passed by one of those monster truck semi trucks, you know, the semi trucks that haul the monster trucks inside. I'm betting that they're going to be there, that same truck is going to be there at the event. It was Monster Trucks, TRUCKZ, and it was the trailer was painted blue and white in stripes, kinda. You saw it on my live feed the other day if you were here. Well, Jen, he's got to still be alive. You know, he's got to still be alive. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't be hearing from Silly at all. Sleeping through the night now. Okay, good. I can't even begin to tell you what it was like taking care of my dad right after he lost his left foot this last summer. He was on the farm tractor. He used a tow strap, a long nylon tow strap, so he was out in the back, one of the back pastures. He was the underground sprinkler system, something had come apart, so it wasn't working and it was leaking underground. So he had used the tow strap and the tractor to pull that that item, I don't remember exactly what it was, to pull it back up level with everything else and put it all back together, and then fill underneath with dirt and the whole nine. And when he got done with that, he took the strap and he put it down on the footboard area of the tractor. And we're talking farm size equipment, not like the little farm and garden city-fied little tractor. You know, we're talking one that's almost as big as the tractor on my semi truck. You know, he's got a front end loader on it, and he's got like several different attachments he can put on the back. One of which being a giant rototiller. So he's got a rototiller on the back of there, and he's going circles around the area to smooth the dirt back out. And while he's doing that, the tow strap rattles off and gets caught up in the rototiller, and within an instant his left foot was gone. The only reason he survived, because it was over an hour outside, because my mother is she's partially deaf unless you're standing right in front of her face. So he's outside, he can't stand up to open the door, and one of the neighbors found him about an hour after it happened. So the only reason he's alive is the fact that it was a nylon strap and it was moving so fast that it cauterized everything when it went through his leg. But now he's finally gone through all the surgeries. He's gone through all the different fittings of prosthetics, and they think that he's finally down to his final different size for a prosthetic. And so he's got that. And right after it happened, I went over and I stayed with him right after he got out of the hospital the first time. I stayed with him for about 2 weeks till we got him up and mobile enough that he could do things on his own with a walker. And I'll tell you what, I lost more sleep throughout that than I had imagined, because he would wake up, he'd go to sleep, and like an hour later or 2 hours later, he'd be waking up in pain or in agony of some kind, or something, or he'd be trying to go and get something and realize he doesn't have that foot. It was difficult, but now, the last time I made the stop by and said hello, we went out to we stopped into a grocery store to go and get something for my mother, and I couldn't keep up with him on his fancy new leg. He was walking so fast I couldn't keep up, and he was just walking. So he's doing good now. He actually ended up going back to work. But right before this happened, he had planned on retiring at the first of the year this year. And because of this, he had to go back to work for that much time that he was out to equate the same for the income and everything, because he had a specific plan, a specific money point that he wanted to hit before he retired. And so now, here a couple of weeks ago, he calls me up and says, well, quit my job, turned in all my pass keys, and told him thanks very much, and now I'm sitting on the couch and I don't know what to do. What do I do with the rest of my life, he says. I'm like, well, how about get on your motorcycle and ride? You know, I went to great lengths and went and got him an automatic, a push. It's a little switch button that goes on the handlebars to convert from being a manual foot lever stick transmission to you being able to use a switch with your hands up on the handlebars. And now his excuse is that he just can't find a comfortable spot for his foot. Okay. So I said, you know, go ahead and start traveling. Just travel. You know. Enjoy what you've got left, you know. Anyway. Now, my dad was in Vietnam during that. He was in the Navy, stationed on the Coral Sea, right outside of Saigon. So, you know, my grandfather was we were all farmers to begin with. My grandfather was a hard-working man. My dad was a hard-working man, very stubborn, very German. And then they, both of my grandfathers were one of them was in World War I and II, the other one was in II in Korea. They were both military also. And, I have never seen a day where any of the men in my family have ever just given up on something. They keep moving forward no matter. I remember a time I was about 8 years old. My dad was out doing something one day and he stepped in a hole funny on a side of a hill, broke his leg. Okay, so he ends up with a cast on his leg. And the next day, him and my grandfather are out in the rain on the roof, re-roofing the house with my dad's cast melting off. By the time they got done with the day, the cast was completely melted off. My dad never went back to the doctor to get it recasted or anything. He just kept moving on like business as usual. That's the kind of men that used to be in this country. That's the kind of man I aspire to be myself. But what I see around this country for the most part are a bunch of people that are too afraid to stand up and keep moving. Now, and I'm not just talking about this movement, I'm talking about in real life situations, like say you lost your job, right? You're about to lose your house because you can't make the payments because you lost your job. But these people are still waiting for their handout because it's like they're afraid to stand up while they're at the bottom and start climbing back up that cliff. I'm sorry, people, but the real thing is when you fall and you hit rock bottom, there's only one way to go, and that's up. You're already at the bottom. You can't get any worse. Programming. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, silly. My dad's doing a lot better. He's doing a lot better. He's up and walking around really well. You know, he just doesn't really know what to do with himself now that he's retired. Yep. Stubborn, tough old birds, or stubborn, tough old Germans. That's what my family is. We're stubborn, we're tough, and we're old, and we're German. You know, both sets of my grandparents moved here from Germany when they were children. So, and you know, it's and even at that, during World War I and II, they had both been fighting on the American side against Germany both times. You know, one of them both times, and the other one time, but and then in Korea. But that just tells you something, you know. They both had stories about, you know, running into family that was on the other side at the time during the war. You know, they stood up for what was right, and they went and did what had to be done. How come most of the patriots that claim that they're patriots today are still stuck to their keyboards instead of standing up and going and doing what's right? Yep. Just a beautiful rainy day. Put my earbuds away because I'm not listening to Tommy Temper anymore. Because I decided to start talking to you people. More rain. Yup. Welcome to the Pacific Northwest, on the west side of the states. If we were on the east side of the state, it wouldn't be raining at all. Here it comes. More rain. It's getting a little heavier again. $112 in Phoenix. Well, give me a second. Let me figure out what the temperature here is. I'll turn this on. Get my dashboard to come up. Tell you what it is right here at this moment. 65 degrees. 65 degrees. Wouldn't you love to be here, Italian princess? Thunder season. You got to watch out for them hurricanes over there too, don't you? And the tornadoes. How's it different than last year, Mama? Or Momo? Or no, wait. Mom of one boy. Okay. Mom of one boy. How is it different than last year? You're saying it's a lot different than last year. How is it different? You've been through 8 hurricanes, Chris? Wow. I went through one when I was down there. I was delivering a load, and I'd picked up the load about 5-6 days prior. Got down there, got parked overnight to deliver it the next day, but I couldn't go and deliver it the next day because they wouldn't let us out of the truck stop. They evacuated everybody. They evacuated everybody except the truck stops. The truckers in the trucks had to stay with their trucks in the truck stops. We were not allowed out of the truck stops. So I had to ride that out. You were, yeah, okay, so what part of, mom of one boy, what part of the Pacific Northwest do you live in? What state? Because you were shut down last year because fireworks, your fireworks were shut down because of the conditions being too dry. Which state do you live in? Because I guarantee you, come 4th of July, they are still going to claim that everything is too dry again this year and take away your fireworks again. Because that adds into their agenda. They don't want us out enjoying our lives right now. That's why they've raised the fuel prices. That's why they've raised the prices of everything. That's why they've pushed this inflation. That's why they've done all of this. They want us to suffer to the point that many of us die off in one way or another, whether it be from suicide or from people getting desperate and killing each other, whatever. They want X amount of us gone so that they can control the population more easily than they do now. Oh, you're just outside Vancouver. All right. So, you know that you're going up I-5 and you go by that big yellow building, the Jacks, you know, to buy your fireworks there in Vancouver. I used to love going in there and buying fireworks. Then I realized, since I'm a truck driver, I can buy the fireworks in a state where it's a whole lot cheaper, and I can get stuff that's not even legal over here. So I have fun with that. I don't necessarily bring it back to this state, but I do have fun with it. Yep, blackjack. You got it. Yeah. See, the thing is, when it comes to politicians, something happens, one person has a mistake or does something, and it doesn't matter how many billions of people you have in that state that will be affected by the decision that you make. The fact remains that decision that the politician will make is based on the interest of safety of everybody, because one person did something that became not safe. Well, I'm sorry, but when you're dealing with stuff like fireworks or anything of the sort, the safety is literally solely representative of the person using the fireworks, right? Therefore, all the blame goes to the person using the fireworks if something goes wrong. Not everybody else should be punished just because one idiot did something stupid. That's That's like taking a look at an entire barrel of apples and one apple sitting on the top happens to be rotten. But the rest are all just fine. But you're still going to throw the barrel out? Does that make sense? Yep, buy them year round. I love buying them all the time. My favorite, I love the mortars, but I really love the firecrackers. I'll go buy strings of firecrackers and I'll light them off. You know, like if I have a half-hour break sitting somewhere and it's right next to one of those places that sells all year long, you know, I'll buy them there and I'll walk out a ways into it. A lot of them actually have a little concrete area that you can go and light them off right there. So I just go and light them off right there and have a little fun and then get back on the road. How many warning labels do you have in your car when you buy one brand new? There is I swear there are enough warning labels on everything in that car that you could completely cover that car on the outside of the body from one end to the other and not see any paint job whatsoever, just warning labels. It's like several years ago, I was still a company driver many years back, and I was given a brand new semi truck. And right on the visor, as you pull the visor down to block the sun, there's a big warning label. Do not attempt to shift this truck without using the clutch. Who's that meant for? Does anybody know how to float the gears anymore? I mean, really? Shoot. There we go. Yep, it is ridiculous. Very much so. There we go. Give me a minute. I'll be back. Man, I'm telling you. Yeah, most people can't even drive a stick anymore at all.
I remember back in the day, the stick was the standard. That's what almost all vehicles came with, was a stick shift, and it was very rare to have an automatic. And then when it became, even then, it was expensive to have an automatic, right? The automatic was the more expensive version. Then it became less expensive, but still more expensive than the stick. And now the automatic is the standard and the stick is rare. Now you have to pay more for a stick shift than you do for an automatic. How does that make sense?
Had to climb up and grab something. You know, when you put things up in a top cabinet that are way up above the top bunk in a truck, you got to climb up there, get it, and get back down. Problem is, you got enough stuff up in that cabinet. When you're driving down the road, the way the roads are so bumpy, especially in a semi-truck, that you have everything in there gets all jostled around, so you have to go digging for it. I sound like I'm a little heavy on the breathing right now, and that's mainly because you know, I was driving during the day for I don't know how many days now, and then turn around and drive all night after having been up all day because I couldn't sleep because it was too hot prior. And now I'm back to day shift, so even though I've had some sleep, every bit of me is still exhausted, even mentally. Doing gymnastics, yeah. Yeah, I was doing trucker yoga. Trucker yoga. Climb halfway up the bunk and then stretch and start digging at an awkward angle with one foot on one side of the truck and the other foot on the other side of the truck to brace yourself while you're digging through a cabinet and you're stretching as far as you can to get into that cabinet with your arms. Yeah, that's trucker yoga for you. Oh, it's getting heavier. Rain's coming down even more now. Well, you know, I don't know about Mrs. G being all that vertically challenged, because, you know, her and I are about the same height, I think. At least every time I stood next to her, I thought she was the same height as me. One more drink, really? Wow. Supposed to get at least half an inch of rain today. Well, I can already tell you that it's been far more than half an inch. You know how they measure that? They take this little tiny tube that's about maybe a quarter of an inch to a half an inch, depending on the maker, in diameter. And this tube has measurements, the inch measurements on it. And they set that out there. So the amount of rain that actually falls in that tube shows you how many inches of rain you accumulated. But guess what? I'm sitting here and there's a pothole next to me that is like, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 inches deep. And it's full. So their way of measuring is just idiotic. In my opinion. Don't quote me on it completely. That's my opinion. When I can look at a 5 or 6 inch deep pothole and see that it's already been overflowing most of the day, and you're telling me it's only going to be a 3 inch or an inch and a half of rain, and I know how they measure it, that just makes me think that they're measuring, the way they measure is just stupid. Yep. It's kind of like they have a common core, it's kind of like they're using some kind of common core physics or common core math to figure out how to measure the rain, right? The trolls were blasting the G's last night. You know, I saw that they had gone online, but I was too tired. I just laid down and went to bed. I'm sorry I didn't get back on when I said, but I started having a lot of things happen. Like I was getting flooded by texts from my dispatcher, from a couple other people, and then, you know, somebody else was calling me left and right. And then about the time that I really wanted to get back live, I was already in an area where I couldn't even have a signal anyway, coming through the mountain pass, especially on Cabbage Hill. So I just got down that, and then I was just so tired at that point coming down that. I still had like two and a half to 3 more hours to drive into where I'm parked now. So I just focused on driving, especially when I walked right into the rain, because if anybody's ever driven in the dark in the rain in Oregon, especially on I-84, you know that when it starts to rain and it's dark out at night, you cannot see the road lines. No matter how good a headlights you have, you cannot see the road lines, so you do not know exactly where you are on the road, and everybody is still trying to fly around the semi-trucks. So I was way too focused on my driving to worry about going live last night. Oh, I don't have a problem with Cabbage Hill. I don't even have a problem with Cabbage Hill when it's frozen fog on top of 6 inches of compact snow and ice. I don't have a problem with it. I go right up and over it and down, up it and down it all the time. Been doing it for so many years, it's like second nature. It's the other people that don't know what they're doing that scare the hell out of me. That's true. Just about anywhere in Oregon. Just about anywhere in Oregon, you cannot see the road lines at all when it's raining after dark. Even during the daytime, most of the time. Like right now, do you see any road lines on this street? Because there are road lines on this street. You just can't see them because the water is covering them. I think it has a lot to do with the kind of paint that they used. Hey, I like Whack-A-Troll. I like Whack-A-Troll. I saw here a couple, what was it, last week on one of the live streams from the 1776 movement, restoration movement there, Big D was sitting